Hey everyone, welcome on to Branded. Today we are talking about 8 ways to fully show the fuck up, not just in life, also in your business. Honestly, whether you want to connect with a mentor, land your dream client, make a great impression, these 8 strategies that we're about to talk about, they are going to help you position yourself in the right places with the right people and in the most impactful way. So let's get right to it because this is a really, really good one. And I don't want to take up your precious time. So let's be real. Showing up is not just about physically being present, right? It's also about being intentional with your presence. It's about being strategic with your presence, and it's about being undeniable with your presence. So let's start with the first one. All right. I'm going to give you a little rundown real quick because there are 8, and 8 is kind of a lot, right? Like you're not going to remember number 1 when we get to number 8. So let me give you a quick rundown of the 8 different ways that you can fully show the fuck up. First, proximity. Second, showcase. Third, connect. Fourth, acknowledge. Fifth, be useful. 6, proof of work. 7, share value. And 8, lead with passion. So let's start with proximity. Proximity is putting yourself in the right rooms, right? It's putting yourself in the right places at the right time around the right people, right? Proximity is something that, quite honestly, can completely change the game for your business. So, first things first, you can't be chosen, picked to do the work, be the person that they call, right? You can't be chosen if you're invisible. If people don't know that you're in business, they don't know that you're there, you're not going to get the job, right? You're not going to get the connection. And the easiest way to connect with someone that you admire or want to work with is to leverage proximity to them. So if you've got, a mutual connection, use the mutual connection, right? Get introduced to this person. If you don't, be a little more resourceful. A way you can do this is like attend events that either they're speaking at or maybe they're putting on, right? Engage with their content. Be sure that you're actually having conversations and communicating with them without even asking for anything in return, right? You can just be supporting their business through engaging with their content. There are ways to get on people's radar without physically having to know them. And this is something that actually I had quite a lot of experience with. Excuse me. A couple years ago, I attended, like, I knew for certain that, let's see, it was 2023, I believe was the year specifically. But that year, I knew that proximity was going to be the game changer for my business. I knew that I needed to get around people that were doing business in a way that I admired. And it wasn't so I could make them clients. It was honestly so I could learn from them. I could witness how are they interacting and engaging with the people that are coming to their events and attending their, retreats. How are they having conversations? I'm a big observer and that's just sort of my nature. And so for me, proximity wasn't necessarily about going to the event specifically so I could talk to that person. It was more about going to the event so I could talk to all the people that decided to buy and show up for their event. Who are these people? What's special and like unique about this group of people that made them want to say yes to this person that I want proximity to? There's a lot you can learn from the context clues around somebody. It doesn't always have to be the proximity to the person themselves. Sometimes it can simply be the proximity to their work and to the current clients that they have. It can tell you a lot. And so proximity is huge. The key to this is don't wait for an opportunity to come to you. Like you need to put yourself in those opportunities if you expect to see any result. So I had to physically go to these events if I wanted to get that observational insight that I was really craving. I couldn't just stalk on social and, see people going to this event and follow the person running the event and be like, okay, I get it. That's my proximity. No, it's not. Go to the spaces, be in those places, talk to people, because eventually you talk to enough people that are in proximity to the person you want to actually speak to. Guess what? You're going to end up speaking to them. It's how it happens. So proximity is one of those things that it's almost like peeling an onion. You just start with what's the closest proximity you have right now. Start there. Peel that onion. Then what's the next closest proximity? Who's the next person that you can then be introduced to? Peel that onion. Now, who's the next person you can have proximity to? Peel that onion, right? That's exactly how it works. It's just like in life, right? Or in your business. If you want to achieve something, one step, you take one step. Same with proximity. And it's huge when it comes to really like fully showing up for yourself and for your business. When you're wanting to move the needle, proximity is huge. Second trait, showcase. Make your work known. Make sure that it's seen. Make sure you can showcase it somewhere once you're in the right places. So let's say you've got the proximity on lock, right? You're in the right places. Now, don't just sit on the sidelines. Showcase your work. Find a way to showcase what it is that you do to the people that are there in those spaces. So, for example, if you're a designer, you could create something that is inspired by the brand that you're attending, right? Like an event brand. You could design something and be like, hey, I was so inspired by what you guys are doing here. I decided to put together this fun little, flyer or this mug or this t-shirt. Like you could create some sort of swag, right? If you're a designer, and that's very specifically putting their business into your design aesthetic and helping them see these are the beautiful things you can create, right? That is a fantastic way to showcase your work, because it's one thing to show like, oh, well, this is all the work I've done in the past, but it's hard for people to see themselves in it when you're not utilizing their own brand. And what's a good example of this? Buying a house. Have you ever bought a house and you walk into it and it might be beautifully staged, but maybe it's just too much stuff is still in the house and you can't actually see your things in that space? That's a little bit how design work can be when it comes to just even graphic design stuff. Showing people examples of your work is great, especially, proof of it from client testimonials is phenomenal. But sometimes showcasing it in a way that's very specific to their business and their brand can be like a really, really big power move. Another example here for showcasing your work, if you're a speaker and let's say you're going to somebody's event and you're trying to get proximity to them, right? You could be dropping knowledge on people. All the conversations you're saying, you could be dropping knowledge in a way that makes people take notice. So then after the event's wrapped up, person A is talking to person B and they're like, you know what? I was talking to Sarah and she just told me, XYZ information. And I was like, wow, that's really good. It's one of those things that creates memorable experiences. And so if you're a speaker or you want to be a speaker, this would be a fantastic way to showcase your work, is quite literally drop knowledge on people in a way that makes them remember you, because that's what speaking on stage is. In case you didn't know yet. That's what it is. You're dropping knowledge on people in a memorable fashion because you either want them to take action or come back and see you again and again, right? Another way that you can showcase your work if you're a service provider is you could position your work in places that people are going to already naturally be looking. So depending on what it is that you are going to, what you're doing in the world, right? You could be showcasing your work online. You could be showcasing your work in person. You could have clients share proof of work testimonials, like live streaming interviews, anything that you can do to showcase your transformations that you've helped people have. Ace. Like that's what you're looking to do when it comes to showcase your work. So we've gone through proximity and showcase. Third, connect. Be memorable. Be memorable, people. This is how people will remember you to come back and, you've got their attention. So make sure that they're coming back to remember what it is you were talking about. Oh, I want to go and check on their website because we were talking about XYZ and it was really interesting. I want to go follow up on that. Like, be memorable. So you'll notice that this list of 8 can be done all in one setting if you were to say, go to an event, right? You could literally take this list with you and be like, okay, I'm going to start with proximity. Let me get around at least one person that I can then showcase my work to, that I can connect and be memorable with, that I can acknowledge their work, that I can show them proof of my work. I can share value with them before actually asking them for anything in return. And then I can show them my passion. Like, these 8 things can quite literally be things that you do when you're there, in person, at an event, online, right? It doesn't matter how you're doing it, but these 8 things are going to help you fully show the fuck up. So that way, after that interaction is over, someone's going to be like, wow, that was really good. Like, I really enjoyed that conversation. I enjoyed that interaction. I'm looking forward to doing it again. That's what you want people to do. You want people to be looking forward to connecting and engaging with you again. That's how you get repeat business. That's how you get referral business. And it's how you end up loving what you do because it keeps you really engaged too. So connect, right? Once you have their attention, right? And you're showcasing your work, make sure they're going to remember you. And a great way to do this is to have some really clear and concise messaging about who you are, what you do, and why it even matters. Also, keep it really natural and engaging because nobody likes a scripted monologue where it just feels like you're a robot. And then when they leave the conversation, they're like, that was really weird. It was like I wasn't even there. You do not want people walking away from a conversation thinking that. So keep it really natural and engaging and, conversational. And if you struggle with that, practice, 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 practice with your friends, practice with your spouse, your kids, whoever will listen. Be like, hey, I have trouble speaking to strangers. I have trouble speaking about myself. That's a big one. People really do struggle about speaking about themselves, especially in a way that's like really positive and not bragging. It's a fine line to cross, and a lot of people are very uncomfortable doing it. Practice. If you know that you're someone who's really uncomfortable connecting with people. So that little clear, concise elevator pitch that you've got and keeping it really conversational, that's how you're going to connect with people, like create that sort of human component within all of it. The fourth thing to do to fully show the fuck up for yourself, acknowledge the other person. Make it personal. Like, this is actually a spot that a lot of people tend to kind of mess up because they make it about themselves. It's not, you don't necessarily want to be acknowledging somebody else's work and making it about you. You want to be acknowledging their work and genuinely appreciating it for what it is. Not because you benefit somewhere, right? You do not need to throw yourself into the equation. Instead, flip-flop that, right? Tell them why you admire what it is they do. What about their work speaks to you and stands out to you and is the reason that you're there in the first place, having this conversation with them, right? Why do you want to work with them specifically? There's got to be something very unique about that person that you were drawn to in the first place, right? So what is it? You can be vulnerable here. You can have these really unfiltered conversations, especially when it comes to acknowledging other people's work. I mean, people are going to be floored whenever you give a really genuine, like, this is why I really love what you do. This is why your work speaks to me. And this is why I'm here today to attend this event or to be on this call with you, whatever, right? Be sincere because people can smell like fake shit a mile away. And ugh, right? It's like having a scripted monologue when you're trying to connect with somebody. You might as well just be there alone, not connecting with anybody, because that's what it feels like when someone's being super, super fake about it. And make it clear that you're there not to just be another transaction. Like you actually care about potentially collaborating with them, potentially working with them, having them as a mentor, like whatever capacity it is that you're trying to get proximity to this person, be sincere about it and make it really clear that you're not trying to just be another number. You see this differently, and so they should too. Like, and that's not to say there's no control here, right? You can't control how someone else is going to see you, but you have full control of how you present yourself and acknowledging their work and being really genuine about what speaks to you about their work and why you find it to be so impactful. I'm telling you, that is a huge, huge win for you on the, oh yeah, I remember that conversation, right? Because you have to think too, what's the scenario that you're connecting with this person that you really want to show up and have them remember you? What is that scenario? Are there a ton of people around? Are you really going to have to work hard to get to that proximity to make that connection? There's all sorts of ways that you can do this for yourself. And this can be vendor communications. This can be you're trying to land a client, you're trying to get to a mentor. Like I mentioned in the beginning, there's all sorts of different scenarios you can use these 8 steps and they will get you where you want to be. Like it really is so simple, but really, really impactful. So acknowledging their work, that genuine admiration, it'll end up opening more doors for you. And, simply saying something like, I would just love to work with you can go a long way. All right. So the 5th trait, be useful, fill the gap, like what's the gap that you see is missing and stand out in it. Solve the problem. Be like, hey, I'm here. I got the solution. And sometimes it means that you're providing a solution for something that people didn't even really realize that they needed a solution for. It's kind of crazy that there's this thing in business where it's like you don't really know you needed it until you need it. And if you're the person that can stand up and say, oh, yeah, I saw that. I ended up creating something really useful for it. And here's what I found. People will eat that shit up. People want solutions. Be useful and fill that gap. Of course, do your research when it comes to trying to figure out what the gap is, right? What's missing in their business that you can sort of effortlessly provide. Maybe it's something you already do. Maybe it's something you're working on, right? And you know for certain that it would help amplify what they're already doing. But do the research first because you're not going to really know that until you know it. And instead of asking for an opportunity, present a solution. Oh my gosh, this is a big one. It's actually a pet peeve of mine. Like when someone comes to me with a problem, I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah, I already saw that problem too. Let's talk about a solution. Do not come to me asking for, free stuff. Don't come to me asking for free advice. Don't come to me with a problem. Come to me with a solution. Come to me with a collaboration idea. If someone was to come to me and say, I love the work that you're doing. I would love to collaborate and, get on your podcast or just do a coffee chat and see if our work aligns. That kind of conversation goes a lot better than someone who's like, hey, I'm putting on, I have this new offer and I love your perspective on things. You want to go ahead and set aside some time to go through my program and make sure that it looks good? No, I'm not an auditor. I don't have time for that. Like, you can collaborate with me and we can do things together, but I'm not going to just sit back and look at your work. I don't have time for that, right? That's not what I do. And so there's a fine line you have to kind of walk when it's, you're not really asking for the opportunity, but you damn sure better be offering a solution when it comes to being useful. Positioning yourself as that missing puzzle piece that people didn't even really know that they were missing, that changes the game. It ends up being the thing that makes people want to have you included in the conversation, in their business model, right? It's whenever you can come through and provide some sort of useful insight, solution based, and maybe it's 2 weeks later and they're sitting down and they're doing work on their business. They're like, you know what? I was having this conversation with so and so, and they provided this solution to me, and it was really, really great. So simple that I didn't even think about it in the moment. And now I see that I'm struggling with it. So that's where you come into play, and they're like, wow, that's the missing puzzle piece I didn't even know that I needed. But they're craving to have you part of the equation now because they see how all the puzzle pieces fit. And that's how you fully show the fuck up, and people remember and come back to you again and again. All right, 6th trait, proof of work. Let your results speak for themselves, right? You don't have to convince people of your worth. You just have to demonstrate. That's it. You don't have to convince anybody. Demonstrate. Action. Proof. Show them what you've done, who you've helped, what impact you've made. Testimonials, case studies, real world examples, they go so much further than words are ever going to be. So, and this is something that in my business, I'm going to be working on this year is I am amplifying my proof of work in my business. It's not something that I've previously put a whole lot of attention into, but it is something that this year I feel very drawn to making happen. And so I will, because I know how important proof of work is. Now, I think the reason it didn't feel as important to me before was because I had less proof of work, right? I just had less clients or less projects, in the library. Well, now 3 years into business, I have a lot more projects in my library, and I have a lot more clients that I've, retained or, had come through my doors, and maybe they've come back and maybe they haven't. It doesn't matter. The proof of work is still there. So tapping into it. And this is one of the ways that you really can become very undeniably the person that somebody is looking for, because they see the value in the work that you're doing before you ever have to even say anything. And it's never, ever, ever going to be about convincing someone of your worth. It will always be about demonstrating the fact that you're capable of doing exactly what you're promising, period. The 7th trait, sharing value with people before you ask for something in return. So most people, they will ask for an opportunity before proving why they deserve the opportunity. Like, that's how most people just standard operating procedure. They will ask for things before proving that they deserve this thing. And I just don't, that's not how I was raised, and it's not how I like to operate in my business. Giving value first, especially in this day and age when there are an insane amount of businesses online and there's a lot of people utilizing AI, proving that you deserve the opportunity that you're working for or that you're asking for by sharing proof of your work, by connecting authentically, by being in close proximity, by showcasing some of your past projects. Like, all of these 8 traits that we've gone through, like I said, they build on each other. And if you do all of them together in one interaction, wow, Like that's going to be some really, really memorable engagements. So share value before you ever ask for something in return. Share insights, offer a small service maybe, or give them a taste of your expertise. Excuse me. So let's say, for example, I do website design. I could offer mini website audits, right? Like there are things in my business that I'm considering starting to do, and that's one of them. Little mini website audits, because I do have clients that come to me that have existing sites and they're like, I just don't really know what I want to do, but I know that I'm not loving what I currently have. And I'm like, all right, before I tell you that you're going to have to spend thousands and thousands of dollars, let me take a peek. And that's how I'm sharing value. I can go on, I can give them a little bit of my expert advice. Hey, if it was me and we were going to be doing a rehaul or a rebrand, I would change these things. I would update your copy, definitely get some better images. I've had many times where I've looked over client websites, and of course, you say it with kindness, but very straightforward. It's like after having a conversation with you one on one, your marketing assets really don't reflect the business that you've just presented to me. How do you want to change that? And one of my longest lasting clients, that's exactly how our first conversation pretty much went. She brought me on to do some blog and like email newsletter work for her. And we were looking at her website, and I was like, quite honestly, it's just really flat. And your personality is so sparkly and like incredible. And she just jumps through the screen at you whenever you're having this conversation, and it feels like she's in the room with you. And the website just wasn't that. And I told her that. And I was like, but that's okay because it does what it needs to do right now, and we can get there. And now after a couple of years of us working together, we finally got to the place where she was like, okay, I'm ready to start overhauling my website. Because there was other parts of her business that just were bringing her more money and were helping her like really grow and scale what she already had going. And that was perfect because what she had, it worked. She just didn't love it, right? But now she's really leveled up her own business, and her website needed to reflect that. And that's what we did. So we've gone in and we've made updates. But it all started because I shared value. I gave her my expert opinion. And now, over 2 years later, she's been a client this entire time and has referred multiple clients to me, all because I shared that value, right? So people invest what they trust, right? When they trust something, they will invest in it. And trust almost always comes before someone actually experiences something. Of course, someone after experiencing something, someone will either have more trust or less trust. But prior to the experience itself, how do you build that trust? Sharing some value. So I'm not saying give away everything, right? We're in business after all, right? We're not trying to give away everything for free, but give away just enough to make them want more. And whatever you feel like is one of your superpowers, like one of my superpowers, I feel like is actually being able to connect with a person one on one and then see their brand and their marketing reflected in their business and see whether it's flows, whether there's alignment, or if there's a huge disconnection. Because sometimes there is. People think they want their brand to look a certain way, but in reality, it ends up being like this totally different thing that just is not a reflection of their business or of them. So I feel like that's one of my little superpowers. And so that's why doing something like a little mini website audit after having a conversation with somebody is hugely valuable, because it's sort of this unbiased view of, well, I just had this conversation with you and you straight up told me from your own mouth what your business was about. And then when I went and looked at your marketing assets, I didn't get any of that. And sometimes they're too close to it and they can't see that. So having value that you can impart on people, that it doesn't mean you're giving away all the goods for free. It doesn't mean you're giving away your most impactful and resourceful stuff for free, right? A little taste, just a little taste of something. There are coaches out there that do, that have like online business coaching or whatever, and they'll do little taster kind of products where they're most likely pre-recorded sessions and they offer you great value and they're at a really low price. And so you can kind of get a feel for who they are, how they teach, what kind of content they're sharing to decide if you want to buy up, right? So sharing value is always useful. And this can come in the form of free resources, a quiz or a survey to help people identify parts of themselves that maybe they are struggling to really uncover and get clarity on. All of these things are really, really super helpful. I'm going to be building out a quiz soon for one of my clients who's an author. And I think it's so smart. And I'm really excited to start building the quiz out with her because I've never done that for an author before. And I think it's just going to be really cool. But it's one of those ways where she's going to be sharing value with people and in the end, selling her book. Right? So she gets them onto her email list and she can start a conversation with them and be sharing value. But in the end, what's the goal? Sell the book, right? So share that value. Show the fuck up, right? And your 8th trait, lead with passion. Go all in. At the end of the day, the only thing that sets apart, you from anybody else, it's really not just your talent, right? There are a lot of people that can probably do the things that you do. It's how you do it. It's how you show up. The energy that you bring to it is the thing that people are going to remember. Because I guarantee when people meet me, they might remember that I do website design, but they probably remember other aspects of myself that maybe don't have anything to do with my business, but they just really enjoyed having a conversation with me and knew that I did good business. So they're willing to come back and talk to me again, right? The energy that you show up with is so much more impactful than the actual talent itself. Talent can always be nurtured and improved upon, but who you are when you show up and you talk to people, that's an innate, unique skill that not enough people tap into. Stop trying to be the same. Nobody wants cookie cutter. Be you. Passion is contagious. When you are loving the work that you're doing, I guarantee the person you're talking to is thinking to themselves, damn, I love my work too. Or maybe they're thinking, damn, I don't love my work as much as they do. Maybe it's time for me to pivot, right? Like either way, that passion that you have is going to create, like it's a catalyst for other people, whether you like it or not, it is. And never good or bad, but that passion will always be a catalyst. It's infectious, it's contagious. It will always transfer. Passion will make people remember you. Like I said, people might not remember that I do website design, but they probably remember our conversation because I'm highly engaged whenever I talk to people. I am always looking people in the eye, like almost always. I used to think, like I almost talked myself out of having that as a trait because I thought, well, maybe people will think that's weird if I actually look them in the eye when I'm speaking to them. And then I thought, well, fuck that. I want to look people in the eye because I want them to know that I'm listening. And if it makes them uncomfortable, maybe they're not for me, right? I want people that want to receive the engaging conversation that I want to have with them, right? So passion makes people remember you. Passion will turn a small opportunity into a really fucking big one too. It's exactly how I started with one client that then referred me another client who then referred me another client who then referred me another client. Like I have quite literally built up my client roster all because I have brought passion and really, really like solution-based work to one person. It's a domino effect. Everybody starts with one client, right? So no matter how many clients you have right now, remember, passion will turn something that feels like a small opportunity into a really big one. Stay passionate. Go all the way in. So those are your 8 ways to fully show the fuck up. And remember, it's not just about being in the room. It's about making an impact once you're in the room. So get in proximity. Make your work seen. Be memorable. Be personal. Solve problems. Show proof of your work. Give first before asking in return. And lead with your passion. This is how you will show the fuck up in your life and in your business. These 8 things will quite literally get you to the places you want to be. And when you do all of them consistently, you're just unstoppable at that point because you're operating with purpose. You're operating with intention. You're operating with passion, right? So I would love to hear from you. Which of these strategies do you feel like you could maybe implement? Let's say you have a call scheduled this week, or maybe you have something in person scheduled, right? Think about your week ahead, your next 7 days. Do you have an opportunity in any of these next 7 days where you could practice getting in proximity, where you could practice showcasing your work, where you could practice connecting and being more memorable with somebody, where you could acknowledge somebody else's work genuinely and give them the admiration that could potentially open a new door for you, right? Is there an opportunity for you to be really super useful and fill some sort of gap that you've been seeing? Is there an opportunity for you to show proof of some of your work? And if you don't have proof of your work yet, maybe this is a great opportunity for you to reach out to your past clients and get that proof of work. And a really fantastic tool, just a little sidebar, if you do need to get proof of work, go ahead a couple podcast episodes and listen to the episode that I did from Click to Client with Chris Jones. Gold. That's how you get proof of work. Listen to that episode. Is there an opportunity this week where you can share value without asking for anything in return? Or is there an opportunity that you can really lead with some passion? So think about these things, because these 8 ways to fully show the fuck up, these could be the difference maker in someone booking you, someone downloading your resources, someone calling you and being like, wow, I am seeing the work that you're doing. It's incredible. We need to collaborate. So whether it's a new subscriber, a new client, a new collaboration, a new mentor, it doesn't really matter, right? These 8 things are going to help you just really focus and become much more intentional and much more undeniable when it comes to remembering that interaction. So I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next week for a brand new episode. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to Branded, the podcast. Please rate and review, and for more information, visit socialjanemedia.com. I'll see you soon.